All right, we're rolling.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm Kamryn, and we're part of the North Coast Agency team here at the University of North Florida in our PUR4801 class. We want to thank you guys all for making the time to be here today. And we're here to talk about our mental health as personal wellness campaign proposal for the UNF Counseling Center, our fund. So we developed this campaign for the UNF Counseling Center to address key perception issues among students. While we know that the Counseling Center offers a wide range of free mental health resources for both online and in-person students, our research showed that many students do not fully understand what the Counseling Center provides. Based on these findings in our research, which you'll see, our goal and the goal of this campaign is to reduce the perception that the Counseling Center is only a crisis resource and to reposition it as an everyday wellness resource for all students. So now I'm going to go over the agenda for today. So first I'm going to introduce you to our wonderful team. Then we're going to go into client background. Then our research team is going to come up and present their findings. Then we'll go into client goals, campaign objectives, strategies, and tactics. Then we'll go over our evaluation. And then our team will present some sample collateral materials that we made. And then we'll go into our Gantt chart, and then we'll wrap up with our budget. So now I'm going to introduce you to our team. First, we have Nicole, our campaign lead and head strategist. Then we have Lerner, our primary research analyst. Me, Kamryn, our secondary research analyst. Then we have Elyse Shouldis, our audience insights lead and creative director. Marcus Tucker, our lead strategic analyst. Will Owens, who's currently not here, he's representing UNF on the track meet today. And he was our budget and operations analyst. We have Amellya, project manager. Carlyne Flores, our creative designer. And Rocco, Campolungo, our documentation and research coordinator. Now we're going to introduce So the UNF Counseling Center is a student support service that provides mental health resources to students. The center offers a wide range of services that include individual counseling, group therapy, crisis intervention, workshops, and psychiatry services. All of these services are designed to help students through every stage of life and navigate challenges such as stress, anxiety, relationships, and important life transitions. All while also promoting overall mental health care and wellness for the students. UNF currently has 17,662 students enrolled. In the fall 2025 semester, the Counseling Center had 1,229 individual appointments and 981 individual appointments in the spring of 2025 semester. As you'll see by this chart, the Counseling Center has 19 total counselors, 5 members on their administrative team, 3 members on their medical team, and 6 interns, 2 of which are PhD candidates, and 4 are master's students. We will reintroduce our research team who's going to come up and show you their findings.
Hello, my name is Lerner. I'm the primary research analyst today, and we're going to be talking about our research. So we'll be talking about our audience analysis. We'll be showing you a little bit of our SWOT analysis and of our conducted survey research.
Hi, I'm Elyse Shouldis, and I'm the Audience Insights Lead and the Creative Director for North Coast Agency. Before diving into our approach for the Counseling Center, it was important to understand who we were trying to connect with. The target audience for the Counseling Center consists of UNF students between 18 and 30, including both undergraduate and graduate students. Many are balancing multiple responsibilities, including academics, work, and personal faith. This group of people are very digitally connected, and they're often influenced by their peers, especially through social media. As a result, school-related stress, career decisions, and social life is very common throughout this audience. Although success and independence are highly valued, there's often hesitation when it comes to seeking help for mental health. This highlights the need for messaging that not only feels approachable, but also comforting, and it also normalizes the use of the counseling services. For our SWOT analysis, we analyze the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and the threats of the counseling center and our proposal. I will be stepping in for our budget and operations analyst, Will, who is competing out of state for the UNF track team, along with Marcus. First, we will go into the counseling center strengths, which are things that the counseling center is already doing well and can continue to build on. To start, their services are free. They also have a wide variety of services, including both individual and group therapy, as well as workshops. Students can access their services both on campus and virtually, and their scheduling is very flexible.
Next are the weaknesses, which are obstacles that challenge the center and create misconceptions. The first is location awareness. Students are simply unaware on where this counseling center is located. Confidentiality understandings. Students, especially new students, do not understand that their sessions are private, even from the parents. There's cost misconceptions. Students don't know that the counseling center is free. And relevance. Students feel that the center does not it's not relevant to them at the moment.
Opportunities to further connect and grow with the students include academic peaks around midterms and finals, while transitional student stress relates most to new students, transfer students, and foreign exchange students as well. For student outreach, the counseling center will strengthen their presence at orientation, as well as creating a Canvas page and also building their Instagram page as well.
The threats are things that might limit or block students for trying to seek help from the counseling center. The first is severity misconceptions. Students feel that their situation isn't dire enough to seek out the center. And stigma and personal beliefs. So these are just beliefs that students have that might keep them going to the center. Next is the situation analysis. That is just a snapshot of where the counseling center is right now. So first is that the counseling center is free to students. The counseling center offers individual, group, and workshop sessions. The counseling center has seen an increase in both individual and workshop attendance from the spring of 2025 to the fall of 2025. There's a large portion of students that say that they don't know enough about the counseling center and that they don't need the center, but there's still a significant portion that's still positive about going or neutral to going. And students feel that the counseling center is only for crisis. For any questions? Wait, no, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So next we're going to go over the survey that we conducted. So we chose to conduct a survey for our target audience, who are UNF students, and we did not choose a specific demographic as to your request. So we were using the survey to test our hypothesis, which was of a perception disconnection between students, where students had a negative perception of the center. So the survey ran from March 31st to April 7th. There were 19 questions and there were 78 respondents. So some of our findings are that about a quarter of the students actually do not know where it is located on campus. However, students did answer that they have heard of the center. Most of the students answered that they have heard of the center, but there is a discrepancy between if they've heard of it and how much information they do know about it. Another unique finding in that vein was that we had some students say that they have utilized the center that actually did not know where it was on campus. So that does show that the online services are being utilized and that those students do not know where it is on campus. But this finding does show that a perception may be indicated that the UNF Counseling Center does not seem like an accessible everyday resource. So another finding we have is that 50% of students actually do agree that the center provides services beyond crisis, but we do not think that those students see those services being useful for their own personal or mental health care, excuse me. And then we also asked them about the barriers that they believe are keeping them from the center, and we actually phrased it so that even if they have gone to the center, they could answer of the barriers, and they could answer multiple answers that we have here. So the three most common answers that students had were that they do not know enough about it, that they had scheduling concerns, and that they do not think that they need it. So this really does indicate that students may believe that the counseling center is a useful resource for students, but they do not see themselves as those students. So on the next slide, we also found that we do have a chance with these students because 49% are actually positive that they would consider going to the counseling center. So strong, including somewhat agree and strongly agree. And then 38% are neutral on it. So we have some room to persuade these students a little. And then 44% of the students say that they would personally use the counseling center. Sorry. Beyond crisis, so that is go every day. 49% of students said that they would go every day. But 34% of students actually do not believe that the counseling center is useful for everyday use, while 29% believe that it is useful for everyday use. So what this means is that students do not see the counseling center for their personal everyday use. While in our word responses, they said that it is a useful resource, the data of them going to the counseling center themselves and having the motivation to go is not liquor. And now we're going to open up the floor for questions that you may have on any of our findings.
Question I have, explain, I should know this, but tell me a little bit more about this word cloud here. How, what does that represent? Where did that come from?
So on the last question of our survey before the demographic questions, we had a open response question. And honestly, we used UNF Ultrix, and these word clouds sometimes do not get straight to the point that we would like, but the word don't is here. And that does indicate the students just did not use the center. So a lot of students were saying, that center sounds amazing. It's a great resource for students. They were saying some positive things, but they said, I do not go. I do not go to the center. It's a good resource. So students do have a positive outlook on UNF Counseling Center for other students, just not for that person. Anything else before we move on?
No.
Maybe we'll come to you later.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm here to talk about our client goals and our campaign goals. So, in our meeting with your administration at the counseling center, we talked a lot about the goals that you guys have for yourselves as a center and the goals that you have for students of the University of North Florida. So the first one was to obviously increase awareness of the counseling center services as a proactive resource. Specifically, we talked a lot about how group and how workshops were underutilized and how there was even a workshop that you created called Adulting 101 that had no attendees week after week after week. And the fact that that's not necessarily there to support like mental illness and help students treat mental illness. That's there to help students succeed in their everyday life beyond that. Yeah. So we talked about finding ways to increase awareness of that. We talked a lot about improving accessibility of information to reduce barriers to use. We talked about how the counseling center has an Instagram page that has about 1,400 followers, but they're averaging between 4 to 10 likes per post. There's a lot of information again on group out there, but that's not necessarily where students are seeking out information about the center. And of course, you guys want to encourage earlier and more proactive use of services, but specifically getting students in as early as possible, as quick as possible in the beginning of the semester so that you have time to attend to as many students as possible, support and assist as many students. And this all falls under your overarching goal of integrating mental health into student life. So we use that conversation and our findings from our research to set our campaign goal of reducing the perception that the counseling center is only a crisis-based resource and to reposition it as a proactive everyday wellness resource for students. And you'll see that wellness is a word that will come up fairly often. Okay,
So, hello again. We're going to be talking about the campaign objectives, strategies, and tactics. So, we settled on one singular objective because we felt that most of our strategies and tactics fit this objective, and we wanted to pinpoint our support on this one place. So our objective is to increase the percentage of students who perceive the counseling center as a useful resource beyond crisis situations from approximately 55% to 70% by December 2026. So our first strat to do this is to integrate the counseling center into students' everyday digital environment. So we have two tactics to approach this. So our first is to reinstate the counseling center Canvas page. We think it would be a very useful resource for students and for you to get more students. So one of the reasons that I feel that this will be effective is that a lot of the students on campus are required to use this Canvas resource, and they do not have to make a new account for this resource. So honestly, some students do not have Instagram accounts or other social media accounts, so this would be a great way to find those students. Additionally, this platform can house many forms of media. It is used for all of our courses. So it can have text, it can have videos, it can have links, and it can have questionnaires and other things. And we believe that the counseling center can use these to inform students. They can use these to get any survey data from students. They can use them to showcase videos for students. And we think that it would be nice for the counseling center to have all their information in one place in this way. And then another great thing about Canvas is that a lot of students have their notifications turned on for Canvas on their mobile devices. So our second tactic is to implement an Instagram content strategies. So we know that the UNF Counseling Center is currently posting organic posts, which means that you're not paying for the post to be promoted. But we do encourage the UNF Counseling Center to consider having a paid strategy at least once a month for big events, important events that they may want to draw students out to. So a couple reasons why we believe this will be useful is that it will create a notable presence on campus by collaborating and interacting with other organizations by doing collaborative posts with organizations like the Student Union or the one that we spoke about, UNF Recwell. Additionally, we think that this will be useful because although Canvas is a really great resource, new and incoming students do not have access to the UNF Canvas yet, so you could reach incoming students or transfer students and their families. Additionally, you would be able to advertise events like events that we're going to tell you about further.
This is just an idea of a little link that you can have in your Instagram bio that leads to a list of links. So the first one would be obviously the official website. This is where you book an appointment, look for any clinical information. A link to join the Canvas page, a link directly to book an individual appointment. This is from the website, this is an appointment, a link to group counseling and workshop information, and a map to get to the UNF Counseling Center, which obviously we're covered, and additional resources for students. And we also have, you have in front of you, I don't page right now, but this is some collateral material. We have a mock-up of the Canvas page that you guys can have. We made this, obviously, you guys would create this to your own liking. It's welcoming students and commending them for taking this step towards involving the counseling center in their academic and personal lives. And then down here, we have some examples of modules. Basically, common stressors is what I have here right now. So anxiety and social anxiety, obviously depression, disordered eating, relationships, academic stress. You can have little modules where you put information, resources, maybe even mini courses for students. You can use Canvas to send out targeted announcements during high stressor periods like midterms and finals and be like, hey, here's a little breathing exercise. Hey, are you stressed about finals? Well, don't worry because campus canines are coming around soon. These are the ones that are going to be here. Students, every department on campus has a Canvas page in some shape, way, or form. I have one where I just find out what scholarships that the College of Arts and Sciences is offering. I find they send out reminders about deadlines and stuff like that. So we think that Canvas is a great way to reach students because yes, most young adults have social media and use social media, but all students, regardless of who they are, will be using Canvas on their day-to-day. And then we have our second strategy up here, which is to position the counseling center as part of everyday student wellness. Our first tactic to do this is to redesign the counseling center orientation experience. We want to start we have a new message for students. I have it here, but it was mental health is personal wellness. So we thought of right now, the orientation experience, I don't know if you guys remember, it might have been a couple of years ago, but for me, it was only 2 years ago, was just sitting in a room where it was PowerPoint after PowerPoint after PowerPoint of information. Nobody's really paying attention. So our second strategy is to make orientation our first tactic, is to make orientation more interactive for students and to really enforce the personal wellness. Our second tactic to position the counseling center as part of everyday student wellness is a vision board activation. If you go into the library right now, or if you go into the dining hall, oftentimes there will be just a whiteboard full of sticky notes that they ask. So right now it's, I think, Poetry Month in the library, and they have one where students can come up and build a poem on one side. On the other side, they can put a sticky note with their favorite poem. And it's a way of getting students involved. I went to the library 5 days last week. I looked for new poems every single day on that board. So a vision board at the beginning of the semester, asking students to show how they picture their future, how they picture the semester. We could have a bunch of magazine cutouts, a bunch of stickers, a bunch of post-it notes in a high frequency area, have the counseling center on there, have a QR code, and just leave it out there for a week and see what happens. And if you did this at the start of every semester, you could see how students are changing and how their visions are changing as well. And then our third tactic is a partnership with the Recreation and Wellness Center, obviously our gym. They have a yoga workshop, and right now I know the counseling center has a meditation workshop. Thursdays at 10:30 in the morning. No.
Nope.
Ooh,
We tried.
All right. Well, this is
So
our
we hope
means
to
of
make it more successful.
revamping that. Because I personally really like the idea of that work as classroom official. But meditation and yoga go hand in hand. Our message is that mental health is personal wellness, and personal wellness goes along with physical wellness as well. So we wanted to tie in the RecWell, which is the wellness center, and have you guys partner, have a group therapy coordinator or any of your counselors out there with the yoga teacher, hold a monthly meditation yoga workshop. You can have stress balls, stickers out there at the end, give students the space to go talk to the group coordinator or the counselor and invite them to your own meditation workshop without yoga, obviously. Oh, yeah, it could be at the gym, because I fear more students end up over there than over here at Founders. And then my third strategy.
And then we're going to speak about our third strategy, and that is to reduce physical and informational barriers to accessing the center. So as we found in our survey research, a lot of the students just don't know where the center is located, unfortunately. Not a lot of students are walking around campus looking for things besides their classes. So one thing that we found that could be helpful for this, and that you have indicated was helpful in the past, was to make a QR code flyer. So we've redesigned the flyer a little bit just to incorporate that locational element. So the slogan says "Confused about the Youth Counseling Center," and ask students to come and visit the counseling center with an image of the counseling center and a QR code to get to the main webpage. So we think something like this would be effective to garner attention for the flyers and to also include pertinent information. So as you indicated, it's worked in the past, and there would be much more interest if the students knew exactly what the QR code is for, of course. And then this could also provide qualitative data for the center because QR codes can be tracked on a surface. So additionally, while you guys indicated that market days was not an easy thing for the counseling center to be a part of, we think that the counseling center would get the most out of having either a week one activation of the semester or close to the beginning of the semester, of course, if that cannot be scheduled. So we feel that this would be helpful because August is actually National Wellness Month. So this could help reposition the counseling center as more of an everyday student wellness resource rather than the crisis resource that we've been talking about. Additionally, you would be finding students early in the semester, which is one of the counseling center's goals, and to make sure that they start their process early, because of course we want students to be interested in the counseling center, but we also know that you guys do not have the resources to take on a lot of students at the end of the semester. And then these events right in the beginning of the semester, of course, feature many new students, including freshmen and transfer students.
Any questions about anything that you've heard so far? Oh, yes, these are some more examples. So this is a poster that was created to highlight the meditation yoga workshop. And then we have both the rec center and the unit logos at the bottom for you. Here we have examples of Instagram posts. This is just a organic post, a little recharge after exams post. And then one of the points here says meditate. So we have a little comment underneath it from the counseling center saying, join us and UNF rep well for a meditation and yoga workshop this Thursday at 10:30. So it can all call back to that meditation and yoga personal wellness vision. Over here, we have an example of a post, a video post. This is, you would have to make your own mistake, obviously, but a post, the yoga meditation workshop. And we have UNF Red Ball commenting under with our slogan, which is mental health is personal wellness. Next, we'll be talking about how we would evaluate this shift in perception to be able to give us real results. So we would measure this change in perception using a pre and post campaign survey. The pre would obviously be the survey that we've already distributed on Instagram, and the survey would be compared to a survey that is given out at the end of the semester as well to see specifically if a couple of questions, especially the one about the counseling center being a resource beyond crisis care, raising from around, I believe it was 54% to around 70%. That is our goal. And obviously, we'd be able to track engagement metrics as well on the Instagram posts, on Canvas page visits, QR code reads, and outreach interactions, and obviously inquiries about appointments that you would have, walk-ins, and so on and so forth. That's how we plan to prove this shift in business.
Good evening, my name is Clifford. I am the project manager for Rocco's agency. So covering some aspects of the Gantt chart is presented today. So of these 4 ovals for each month, that is represented of 1 week per month. And this Gantt chart also covers the span of the full fall semester. So some aspects I want to point out, right, especially the first week where we have freshmen coming in, new students coming in from the summer semester. So we'll be coming out with paid posts, unpaid posts, the start of the canvas for the counseling center. We'll also be having our vision board for the counseling center, posters, and I believe those are all the aspects. But moving forward with the unpaid post, that will be a weekly post. that is on the counseling center's Instagram. There will also be unpaid posts, that is once a month for the counseling center. One thing I also want, along with once a month, for posters, and I also really want to point out for, two aspects are with with the freshman orientation coming in this spring semester, we want to have the counseling center be present and for those weeks so that students can ask questions, up and coming students can ask questions regarding the counseling center and their services. In addition to, there will also be posts for October and the second week of December that cover the students' midterms and finals, just to cover any stressors that they may be suffering with exams and how to cope with that or better manage their stress. Now I'll be introducing Marcus with the budget.
Marcus, I'm presenting the budget on behalf of Will. We played with a little bit of a bigger budget. We know that 700 was the amount you guys gave us, but we played with a slightly bigger number just because of the hypothetical nature of our proposal. The three biggest purchases are going to be the pens, because everybody loves pens, and this kind of ties into the overall cost of tabling. The next one is paid advertising, which is going to be $50 per week for 4 months. And the last is Canvas or Canva Pro, which will be for 5 months and a total of $75. So it's roughly around $15 per month. Any questions about budget?
Where are the expensive pens?
Right.
Oh,
$100
okay.
decrease.
Those are some expensive pens.
Mostly don't have a lot of them, but everybody loves pens, so it's okay.
I may have missed it. You've got the retractable banner stand kit. And I don't remember where in your presentation that was used. Is that part of the visioning board? Where was that? I may have missed it.
The retractable banner stand would be placed on top of the table for market days.
Oh, market
It's the
day.
market day.
Yes.
Mostly there's just market day expenses, small things, but there might be things that you have that you replace with some of these, so it's not a set number. But your votes?
Mounting buddy. What are we mounting? What are we mounting with mounting buddy?
Posters and flyers, and for the vision board for people to use instead of board. Sometimes it's better.
I have.
I also have mounting. Any questions about the proposal, the Gantt chart budget so far?
I don't understand a Gantt chart.
Gantt
I don't know what it is. It looks
Okay,
pretty.
So a Gantt chart is just, it is just like a calendar that like goes over like the different aspects of like, so.
Is each little oval a week?
Yes, yes. So.
Got it. No, it's cool. I've never seen one before.
Representative of just like,
Any actions
yes.
that we would take
Okay,
during the campaign have to be mapped out on our Gantt chart.
got it.
If it was a social media Gantt chart, it would be for the month and you would see what days we put what on. This is just a weekly overview.
Makes
Are
sense.
there any other aspects of the Gantt chart that you might have questions?
No, I didn't get it,
No, that's-
but now I
that's
do.
understandable.
Thank you for explaining it. I appreciate it.
Well, I think that is all the information we have for you. Thank you so much for witnessing this. And we will go in the front again.
One question I have, I saw you had in your budget the money for Canvas Pro.
Yes.
Are you assuming that somebody inside the counseling center would
That's my question.
be the one developing that, using Canvas Pro to develop social media posts?
Yes, right now we had it as, I believe, the executive secretary boards. But another thing we came up with really early on that I do believe we should have put in the presentation now, looking back, is that looking into marketing and communications, having their intern help
Yeah.
with that. Because that is a free resource that all departments of URAC get to use. And that doesn't really cut into their budget because their intern is free and is doing marketing and communications, not only for the marketing communication section, but for most departments on campus.
Okay.
And would that person also be doing their paid social media advertising as well?
I believe, yes, marketing and communications has to approve all paid advertising, so it would go through them for the center. Yes.
That was actually my question, because I was like, that's lovely, we pay for it, but we have nobody really to do that,
Yes.
so, okay.
Of course. I think everything has to be approved through them regardless. All marketing and everything like well, so. Your fonts to also be approved by them.
Been through that, yeah. I'm
So-
posters.
In your SWOT analysis, you made a lot of statements about strengths and weaknesses. Were those statements based on stuff that came out of your survey, or were those just general comments, the stuff you know off the top of your head, or where did those statements come from?
They're both. The mainly the strengths are just the things that the center has to offer. They're like over other resources. They're free. They're just natural things that put you above the rest. And then the weaknesses are stuff that we got from the
Go ahead.
I was just curious, how many people did you survey that you got 78 back?
We got, yeah, 78.
78
We went out
Oh,
to
so-
birthdays, yeah, 78 people.
It was, sorry, it's written, in the paragraph that speaks about it, but I didn't want to
Okay.
take too much
No,
time. But it was mostly, organic, so we were going face to face, and additionally, we sent the links out to some student organizations that we are a part of.
Yeah.
So that was honestly to make sure that we didn't have,
Luckily, we have a really diverse set of classmates on our
Yeah.
team, so Will sent it out to most of the athletics department. Rocco is in Greek life. I'm in the Latin American Student Association, the Latin American Student Association, so we were able to get quite a diverse number. We have a great demographic to select from, even although it may not be scientifically accurate. I think that margin of error is a bit, or not error, margin of error is going to be higher than it should be for this to be plausible. It was still able to give us direct results.
You guys are all students and you've been through orientation, you've been on campus. Was there anything that came out of your research that surprised you that you didn't expect?
Well, the fact that there were workshops, period.
Well, I'm not talking about your research into the organization. I'm more interested in stuff that came out of the survey that you did that surprised you.
Yeah.
honestly,
For
I'm
me-
surprised that, students didn't necessarily see the counseling center as only, a resource for crisis, but they didn't see it useful for themselves. So a lot of students were saying, I don't know enough about it. I don't see it in my own life and things like that. And we were surprised that those didn't go together. They were away from each other in that way because obviously students in the textual responses, students were saying like, that sounds like a great resource that UNF has to offer.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't use it.
Yeah.
And that was very interesting to see how they were just not using it, even though they knew it was there.
Yeah.
And they knew
They were
a
recognizing
semblance of how to
Yes.
Some relevance
Yeah.
of it to them.
They were recognizing it as a great resource for other students, but weren't necessarily stepping up to use it themselves. But yes.
And if you could do that survey again, is there a question you wish you had asked?
not necessarily that I wish I had asked, but I wish that we didn't have neutral as an option because a lot of students defaulted, of course, to selecting, oh, I don't know if I would ever go to the counseling center instead of saying maybe I would go or maybe I wouldn't go. There was a lot of neutral data.
I wish we had added maybe an open-ended question in retrospect, talking about what it would take for students to go. What it like, maybe not necessarily something about themselves or like, would you go if there was an event? Would you go if there was free snacks? Would you go? Like, what would it take for students to go to the center just to see what does incentivize students to showing up more on campus? Because this isn't necessarily only a counseling center problem. Students do, I feel like UNF students compared to other campuses do show up, go to class, and go home.
And this is a question, I guess, more for you, but a little bit for them too. In your recommendations, there's kind of an inherent assumption that they want more students to come to the counseling center. So my question is, first question is that an accurate statement? And do you have, if they were successful and all of a sudden they got a 15% increase in students coming to the center, do you have the capacity to handle that?
So yes and no.
Okay.
We definitely want all the students to know where we are, to know that we are a resource if they need it. They don't have to come on a crisis. And it was curious to me. And the one thing I wrote down that I was going to ask, and I thought y'all did, it was awesome. I thought y'all did a great job, especially after meeting with us once, like really, seriously. The everyday piece, you can use it every day. No, you can't. We don't have things for every day, but I know this was for a different, this was for this project, the class. I get why you did it though, because we said we would love for people to know that they can come proactively. It's like, you don't have to be in crisis mode and like something horrific happened. You can come because I'm struggling with study skills. I'm struggling with test anxiety. It can be lesser, um, less acuity, less and less stress. So those are more kind of, we could meet with you a few times. It doesn't have to be that you're a long-term client. But if we all of a sudden got a huge influx of folks, then that would be a different issue. That would be a budget issue because we would probably need more people. When I started here almost, it was 5 years ago almost. There was a 175 person wait list.
Wow.
Yes. And we don't want that to be the case. We don't want a wait list like that. And we have been managing it very well since then. But
Yeah, I agree. And that, and just so you guys know, I've made that mistake myself for clients at my agency is the idea that you think something sounds like a really good objective, but it's really important to ask, if we accomplish this objective, would that solve problems or create problems for you? Sometimes what sounds like an obvious objective may not be what a client is looking for. But I agree with you that the idea, your basic concept of making people think that, counseling center is not just for when you're in a crisis, that is a really good PR goal. But be very careful of what you ask for, I guess.
Well, I will say, because what we talked about was it would give us the opportunity, because you brought up the adulting 101. That was to help out more groups, more workshops. And I think that's the direction. And I get that. And that's what we asked for, because that is more doable. Like we could have 2 therapists and 20 people, in a workshop. And that would be giving services to a lot more folks. So in that capacity, yes, absolutely. It's the individual piece that we wouldn't have, but the workshops and the outreach and all that we would.
And I think a lot of the inherent message that they were saying is kind of like an ER. You want to take care of your health before you need to go to the ER.
Yeah, and I liked it. I thought it was really good. Good ideas.
I think if we had a chance to kind of do this again, I think we would focus more on digital outreach, getting maybe focusing more on the canvas and maybe focusing a little bit more on group attendance. Because making the counseling center a little bit more accessible.
Yeah. I thought it was good ideas. I did. I wrote down a bunch of stuff I'm gonna take. So
Please do.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, even past the individual part, like the canvas that we created, like I know just for me, I think a couple years ago I randomly subscribed to like this phone number and now I get like motivational texts every single morning to start my day. But it does like start your day off nice, and it's that like name recognition. So even if it's something that's small like that, and they can be tailored to, whether it's finals week, midterms, if you know what something that's going around on campus and students, like that's the first text that they get in the morning, you're still like you're in their ears, even if they're not, going to an individual session or anything like that,
I think building off of that, I think that I don't think the overarching goal was to have like an influx of students for individual therapy because it's of course that's overwhelming. You guys are a small team. But I think having so many different outreach I guess objectives, we are able to gather more students to make it a more recognizable name so that when you guys do have those events, there's a lot of people that show up, they recognize the counseling center. Oh, this is a great opportunity. There's more attendance. So not only just like keeping you guys busy, but also like kind of building a community around the counseling center and just like the personal wellness, the mental wellness. So that was a big thing for us while creating.
you guys have the clinical covered.
Yeah.
We want, you to be,
Recognized by the students.
yeah.
Yes.
For what you actually are.
Yes.
Well, I've got a number of more sort of specific comments that I'm gonna put in kind of a review and send it out and have some individual points for each person. So I'll do that separately. And then we'll let our guest go unless you've got anything else you want to add or questions.
No, I thought it was I really appreciate it. And thanks for inviting me. And I thought you did a really good job.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And thank you so much for all your
will
help
somebody
also.
make sure she gets a copy of the PowerPoint? She's
Please,
got the
yes.
written one, but she may
Oh,
also
yeah.
want the PowerPoint too.
Probably.
I would love the PowerPoint. And I'll share it.
Thank
I'm
you.
like-
Please do.
Yeah. No, I thought those were some really great ideas. So.
Thank you.
thanks.
No, you take that. And thank you so much for being part of it, coming
Absolutely.
today. And again, we recognize this is your busy time of year, so we appreciate you taking time out.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank
Nice to
you.
meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
So I'll let you guys go. I just want to make a couple announcements. So remember, a big part of this project was the peer evaluations. So there's an assignment in Canvas for each of you. There's a little rubric, and it's going to be complicated because you're going to have to do it 9 or 10 times. But five points of the 30, I think, is the self-evaluation. So some point between now, I know you got finals and everything else going on, but take time. All you have to do is copy that rubric and then send me. You can email me a doc, you can upload it to Canvas, however you want to get it to me. But you have to evaluate every one of your classmates and give them a grade from 1 to 5, and then I will average that to become what each person gets for the self-evaluation part. And then we'll have a quiz. We'll have Tuesday. I'll do sort of a final review / mini lecture on misinformation, and then there'll be a quiz that night, and then the final is Thursday. Finals worth 10 points, quiz is worth 1. Then that's the remainder of it. So then you can go and focus on your other stuff.
Is Thursday our last class?
What's that?
Is Thursday our last class?
I think so, yeah.
And it's barely a class because we'll be taking tests.
Yeah. Technically, after that, we don't have a class, but you've got until I think the week after that to get the self-evaluations in. But
I'm
no,
gonna
we-
take
but
Shelburne
you-
to comics because she's lost.
Okay.
But I will say, again, I'll send you specific evaluations, but I will tell you just in a kind of overview, I was really impressed how this came together. I had the luxury of seeing the sausage in its making process, and I had questions about how well this was going to come together, but it seemed to really come together nicely at the end. So,
Sorry, I'm walking her to her, like, she's
Okay.
lost.
So